Hello, I'm Graham and welcome to Jaws 19. Now, the plan for this video was for me to do a very lengthy and detailed review of Ashens and the Polybius Heist. I was going to go full Mark Commode. But then I thought, who better to actually speak about the film than the creative mind behind it? So I present to you here my interview with Stuart Ashen, where we talk about all things Polybius Heist. And after you've watched this interview, I suggest you go to your streaming platform of choice and watch the film, because it's bloody marvellous, as I said.
I'm putting together a crew.
I can guess while you're here.
Okay.
I'm in.
I'm in. Let's roll.
Did you make films when you were a little kid with a camcorder?
Yep. However, did you guess?
I don't know, it just shows somehow. What kind of stuff were you making?
Yeah. So what happened? My dad was always into cameras and things.
Mm.
We managed to convince him to get a camcorder, which was great because I knew full well he would never use it, and I totally could all the time, which is absolutely what happened. And I swapped because in the end he wouldn't pay for it. Actually, damn
What?
it. Annoying memory come back there. Yes.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, I ended up swapping my Amiga CD32 for it.
For a camcorder?
Yeah.
Do you consider that a good exchange?
Yes. I don't know if you played many CD32 games. I ended up buying another CD32 because they were reduced to like tuppence about 4 weeks afterwards. So timing was good. Yeah, and it was a Ferguson Video Star. Takes full-size VHS tapes.
Oh, so not even the little tapes?
Oh, no. This was a big old chunky.
It must have weighed a ton.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't want it on your shoulder for long, put it that way.
Bloody hell.
But we just filmed weird little experimental things and funny little shorts. And we got permission to go into the school, or high school as it was, during the holidays. And we filmed a short film called, we never edited it together and finished it. So frustrating.
Oh, no.
It was called Further Action. That's it. About a teacher who goes insane trying to get some homework off a child. He's like, why haven't you done the homework? And the child has obviously done it, but hides it and refuses to give it to the teacher. The teacher can't understand why he just won't give it. So he ends up hiring 2 hitmen to kill him and take the homework. And eventually marks it. Yeah. We just watched Pulp Fiction.
I was going to say, a lot of times when you're a teenager and you get a camcorder, the first project you do is like a remake of something you've just currently seen, isn't it? Something you're currently inspired by. So
yes.
So Pulp Fiction loomed large for you, did it?
Oh yeah, went to see that many times at the cinema when I was too young at the start as well, if I remember. But
was it 94 that came out?
Probably. I think it's spot on actually.
Yeah, I think I'm sure. Yeah, earlier half of the 90s anyway.
Yeah. That
did you ever
mind.
Did you ever dabble with like any like stop motion stuff with your Star Wars figures or Lego figures and stuff?
Yes, that was the first thing I ever did with some G.I. Joe figures because they were more articulated. Yeah, absolutely. But also they're a bastard to get to stand up without falling over. So
yeah, because the feet were never flat or leveled properly, so they'd always topple. Same with the Star Wars figures.
Yeah, exactly. Did some stop motion with some plasticine as well. Yeah. I'm so glad those are all lost to time. I digitized them all, on an old Amiga. Yeah, a horrible black and white thing. So I think that's how I made them. We had like a really primitive Amiga video digitizer.
Wow,
but it did the job. Yeah.
So filmmaking's been in your blood since a long time then, since you were very young.
Yes, something we were always, even as a child, I think I was obsessed with, this could be why I love games as well, actually, thinking about it, obsessed with being able to get something on the screen and make things happen. So it wasn't just a sort of passive experience, Yeah, I think that's something which certainly goes through to my childhood.
Being able to control what you saw. That's
Even
quite an odd
not
instinct for a
looking
small child, isn't it? Because generally when we're small, we're quite happy to sort of passively absorb our entertainment, not take an active part in what you see on the screen. The screen's very much detached from us, but you were like, I want to put stuff there.
Yeah, I want things to happen. I remember sitting for hours with a Commodore VIC-20 that I didn't really understand at the time, just putting like characters across in the BASIC and trying to draw a picture out of characters on a VIC-20 BASIC screen, which... yeah, you probably wouldn't be winning any art awards for that, but
even so,
it amused me for an hour.
You were trying to influence the screen. So did you used to hang outside Rumbelows and try and spot yourself on the camera that was pointing outside the shop front?
No, I didn't want to see myself doing it. I was quite happy to be behind the scenes and making things. Yeah,
got you. You weren't behind the scenes in this film. You did both. You were
Yeah, we
behind the
can't
camera
afford an
and in front
actor,
of
you
it.
see, so I have to do bloody everything. It's terrible.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, well, perhaps to a small extent.
That was going to be one of my questions about, because it wasn't a big budget piece, was it?
Oh no, not by any stretch of the imagination.
But equally, it wasn't what you called no budget. You had some money.
Yep,
You
precisely
could make
so.
something decent.
Yep.
So how did you get the money for it? How did you raise the money to make the film?
It was mostly crowdfunding. I can't remember the final figures now, but I think it was about 70% crowdfunded in the end, which is a step up from the first one. The first film, Ashens and the Quest for the Game Child, was about 50-50 crowdfunding and money that indirectly came from Google due to massive luck at the time. Whereas this time it was about 70% crowdfunding, 30% private that we threw together ourselves, basically.
And did you have a finished script, a finished product when you sort of launched the idea of funding it? Did you have something that you could say, hey everyone, I have this, I can make it if you pay for it? Or was it like, let's all chip in and I'll develop something?
And most of it down, actually. We had an early version of the script, certainly. It wasn't at that stage something we would have considered final. Actually, it was getting pretty close to being final. When we launched it now, I sit and think about it, because about 2 years before we made it, so like a year before the crowdfunding started, we were basically sorting out entirely private finance for it. It fell through at not just the 11th hour, but the 11th hour and like the 58th minute. The finance fell through in the time it took me to get on the underground from Liverpool Street Station to Shepherd's Bush. That's how last minute it was. It was so frustrating. But we had a script then. It's something we would have worked a bit more on, but it was quite final. Then we kind of took a step back for a few months. It was like, oh, right, well, let's try crowdfunding like we did last, blah, 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 and sort of all the details out. And by that stage, we were working on the script again. It ended up, noticeably different, I would have said, to how it was before. I'm kind of glad in a way we had that extra time, because I think we massively improved it with just a couple of sort of tweaks to how the plot went and stuff. But with a heist film, the joy is everything feeds into something else. And when you change something, there's a good chance you've now broken the logic of your heist. So we have like a big flow chart of
I was going to ask, have you got post-it
order.
notes and red string all over the production office? Is it one of those kind of things?
Yeah, the directors had the post-it notes and I had the flow chart, and together we kind of separately held things to make sure we were checking each other, the whole way, which is why it actually makes sense at the end, I think. Don't tell me if it doesn't, it'll upset me.
It made sense. It hung together pretty well, I thought. So did you talked about writing it. Is it something that you sort of generated most of the screenplay on your own, or did you have a team of writers? Did you work with a cast to develop stuff? How did the writing process go?
So for the script, it's written pretty much entirely by me and Riyadh, the director. So we sort of co-write. Then when we get onto set, there's always little bits and bobs the actors add and things that you can change on the day and this, that, and the other. But the actual script itself is entirely me and Riyadh, pretty much. We get notes from good people, don't get me wrong, as you don't want these things to exist in a vacuum, because there's always something you've missed, or a very simple suggestion from somebody with fresh eyes, and you're like, oh.
Yeah. It's always good to do that, isn't it? Throw a script at a complete stranger who has no vested interest and go, what do you reckon?
Absolutely, yep. And if they get it and then suggest something, nearly always the suggestions are really worthwhile.
No, absolutely. So let's talk about the cast if we could, because it was it's a motley crew, but it's supposed to be, isn't it? Because it's a heist movie, and a heist movie hangs on a cast, doesn't it? The whole point is it's an ensemble, it's a group of people with what you hope are complementary characteristics.
Absolutely, it's all about the camaraderie, isn't it?
Yeah. So tell me a bit about the cast.
Yeah, certainly. Well, I'm in it, obviously, because I was in the first one, and
it is your heist.
My name in it, exactly. So I've got to be in it. We had. This is quite a good example of sort of notes and things. In an early drafts, we had Ashens having a protege, a sort of younger character who was sort of interested in old technology and learning the ropes and that. And we can never quite sort of marry up the being able to deal with that character and have the heist go on at the same time. It never quite worked, but we really liked the character, so we kept leaving in. And eventually we knew it was going to go, I think, subconsciously, and somebody gave us the note of, you need to get rid of this character and just have like a simple Brad Pitt style business partner type. And we're like, do you know what? We knew
Ah.
that, but we loved that character. So that character is now in the filing cabinet for use
Ready to
sometime
use
in the
for the next
future,
one.
hopefully. Yeah, quite possibly, actually. So then that became the second in command, so to speak, which is Benny.
Yes.
I was going to say where the name came from. I won't, because that will be spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it. So yeah, who's sort of the partner who wants to be a little bit more, but he's quite on the ball.
And who plays Benny?
Sorry?
Who plays Benny?
Oh, and Benny is the mighty Eli Silverman, award-winning actor Eli Silverman, bless him, who does a fantastic job.
He does.
With his slightly aggressive style of comedy bleeds into it a bit, and it's great stuff. And then, of course, you need the eye in the sky, or the hacker, which we've kind of conflated together for this, which is somebody who sort of coordinates everything and keeps an eye on what's going on, but also does the computers, etc.
Guy in the chair.
Literally so, yep. That is Mr. Daniel Hardcastle, known as Dan Nerd Cubed, who is somebody... So Riyadh had worked with him. I mean, I've known him for years, but not in a sort of acting sense at all. But Riyadh had worked with him acting on an old thing called Knighthood and Decoy, which was like a very good spoof superhero thing Riyadh worked on for a couple of years with other people. And he came in, Daniel, as like a sort of guest villain type of thing, just because he's got a bit of an audience, it'll be fun. And they sort of tried to write him something simple they thought he could handle, and they did a lot of this, and with some people it works better than with others, as you think. But Riyadh was absolutely blown away. It's like he's really good, and in fact we've now managed to like stretch out what he's doing, and he's taking direction, and he can emote, and right. So we always had him
use this guy.
Exactly, yeah. So we had him in mind from quite early days, actually. And just the hacker character seemed to fit him quite nicely with the fact that he doesn't like Ashens and Ashens doesn't like him. So there's a nice little thing we can riff off. Who else do we have after that? We have, of course, the fixer, the person who knows how to get things and do things. That is Annalise, played by Alyssa Kyria, who is... perhaps not as competent as you would think in the first place, shall we say. But actually, when she gets going, she can obviously make things happen. But her thing is she's incredibly positive, like to the point of almost lunacy sometimes.
Yeah, it's that infectious positivity that actually makes you angry after a while. You're so goddamn happy, I can't cope with this.
Yeah, exactly. Like, just be miserable for a minute.
Yeah, look around you, be miserable. God's sake.
She's also inhumanly strong, as we allude to a couple of times. That was just a little thing that amused us. Then who else have we got? I'm trying to think of the order of things. Then there's the money man, of course, the one who has to fund everything.
The financier, yes.
Yes, and we had the perfect inroad to that, because at the end of the first film, the sort of sidekick character of Chef Excellence, Jeffrey Excellence, has somehow launched this YouTube channel that's made him a fortune and is hugely big. So, of course, it's now a shoo-in that he's the guy with the money in the second one. But he's still fairly detached from reality, as we discover when he gets us our grease man. The grease man being somebody who can physically sort of get into weird places, and it's usually a Chinese acrobat in high budget productions.
Backflip into a wheelie bin, that kind of guy.
Exactly that. He doesn't understand and just gets a man who's from Greece.
Yeah.
So it's just a Greek guy. It's like,
one of my
he's on board
to
now.
Be honest. I like him a lot.
And he is the breakout character. Yeah. He needs his own spin-off, Giannis, bless him. And he is played by Giannis Vasilakis, who is very good comedy writer and performer. We've worked with him a lot. Did a lot of Night and Decoy back in the day, actually. So when this joke came out of something, how about if you just get somebody who's Greek? But like, it turns out he's just like really naive, but he's also like the smartest guy in the room. That's quite, the innocent is quite a nice thing to play.
Yeah.
And then as soon as we said that, me and Rhea just looked at each other, it's like, Giannis, do you want to act? And straight in, absolutely brilliant. Then we've got Jared Christmas as Jared, because we like simple names that we don't have to remember too hard on set, who is the mole, or the smooth man, the infiltrator, the one who can do the art of... I was going to say it's a sort of combination of the art of persuasion and the art of disguise, I suppose, a mole, really, isn't it?
Yeah, is the if it was the A-team, he'd be face, wouldn't
he? Exactly that. But he's kind of lost his nerve a bit.
Yeah.
So he's not got the skills he should have at the start, and sort of building him back up is part of the sort of his arc in the movie. So the next character is the impersonator, or the proper full-on vocal talents of the character, just called Vocal. We never hear her real name. Yeah. Who is Katia Kavinga, who is an astonishing voice actress and comedian. I've never known anyone be able to naturally do so many diverse accents. I mean,
And you got your money's worth with it, didn't you?
Oh, didn't we? Just
yes. Do them all. We'll point a camera at you.
Yes, exactly. There's a behind-the-scenes video that is almost literally that. Her and Giannis having a sort of voice-off. And in the film, she's Irish in her natural voice, but no, she's not Irish in real life at all. Literally, Riyadh just said, what accent would you like to do the character in mainly? Because we trust you with all of them, frankly.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Yeah. She was like, Irish.
I'll do Irish.
Southern or northern? Doesn't matter. Do either. Yeah.
Particular town? East side of town or the west side of town?
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me, actually, with her.
She was very good.
Fantastic character. Oh, brings so much to it. And then finally, sort of on the periphery, so to speak, is Chef Assistants, played by Barry Lewis, who is
in a very fetching bowler hat.
Yes, bowler hat is actually a colander.
Yes. Did you have to spray it black, or did you buy a black one?
No, that is a thing. A colander that looks like a bowler hat. It's an actual product you can just buy. Yeah, we knew about it because Barry had reviewed it on his channel before. But he is basically the Batman, so to speak, the sort of personal assistant of the now rich Jeff Excellence. And Barry did such a good job. We kept his part quite small because we'd sort of worked himself. We'd never seen him act, but so it's always that worry of we've got to make sure this works. But he was bloody great. We could have given him a lot more, I think, at the end of the day. In fact, we could have just made the whole film about him and then gone to bed. Yeah.
Then also had to cast some fictional family members, didn't you? Because your family is a major part of this film, isn't it?
Absolutely, yes. So my sister is played by Joanna O'Connor, who is Dr. Christine Ashen, who is like a sort of very, very clever scientist on the whole technical front. And you get this impression, especially when you see the flashbacks to how Ashen's father is with them both. Father played by Nigel Fairs, another very good actor. It's like Ashens has got the sort of love of old technology from the father, but the actual more inventiveness has gone to Christine, basically.
Yeah.
And also, she really likes lawnmowers.
I'm not. You know what? I'm not even going to go into the lawnmower thing. I did have
Based
a
on a
question
true story
about the lawnmower thing, but I'm not going to go there. I'll let people watch the film and work it out for themselves. I thought the character of your father had a great kind of 80s Doctor Who villain kind of vibe going on about him.
Man, that's so precise. Nigel actually does a lot of work for the audio adventures of Doctor Who, all that stuff. Yeah, he not only voice acts a lot of them, but writes them as well. So
wow.
Yeah.
The standard question that always gets asked in things like this: what's next? Are you going to do another one?
Depends how many people buy this one, really. I think we'd like to do a trilogy. Everybody wants to make a trilogy. We've got an idea of where we'd like to go with it, but not going to do any work on it yet. Let this one settle and see how we get on that.
So do you think there exists a perfect film trilogy?
Not
I have
yet.
this debate a lot.
But we're going to make it.
Oh, you're going to make it. Of course. All right. So your trilogy aside, is there a perfect trilogy out there?
That's a good one. I've got to think of trilogies. Back to the Future is pretty good.
Is it perfect though?
No.
And this is I'm the huge Back to the Future fan, as loads of people know. But yeah, the third one's flawed.
Yeah, this is it, isn't it? For years, I thought it was just because I didn't like cowboy films, but I've sort of watched it again recently. And I'm like, no, I was right. It's not quite as good as the others.
Was it the time train thing that upset you? Because that's what upset me.
That's so bad. What a horrible way to end it. It's such a... I mean, they kind of get away with it because there's so much goodwill in the build-up, I suppose.
Yeah. It's hard to be angry with them because you love them all so much. But
exactly. But my God, it's not
It should have ended with the train destroying the DeLorean and everyone gets on with their life and that's all fine. Yeah, the time train deeply upsets me.
It's It's not a good-looking thing either, is it? Really, it's a bit crazy.
Oh, it's gross.
In a
So
bad
yeah, so
way.
Back to the Future, not a perfect trilogy.
Yeah, Indiana Jones isn't. Yeah, because you've got to ignore the fourth, and Temple of Doom is a bit odd.
Temple of Doom has its problems, yeah.
Yeah, this
Last
is certainly
Crusade's
the
a great
weakest.
film.
Oh,
Love
Last Crusades. I think that's the best out of them, I would have said.
I would agree. I've always
Yeah.
maintained that. And then the fourth one, which we can gloss over.
We'll ignore that. Lord of the Rings is a pretty good trilogy.
Is it perfect though?
I don't know. I mean, the first one takes a while to get going. I do know people who were very bored by the first film, and I certainly wasn't. I really enjoyed it, but I can kind of get where they're coming from. As far as I was bored by the first Hobbit film.
The
certainly-
Hobbit films are execrable.
The second two, I wasn't bored because I think I was just so sort of angry throughout all of them. It was astonishing. I think the third one, what is that? The waste of time of 5 people or whatever. the CGI of the Billy Connolly or whatever. I don't know. That was
I can't even remember the subtitle of it.
one of the worst experiences I've had watching a film at the cinema. It's like I think it's like the 6th worst. I keep a note of them if ever I have a really bad time at the cinema, and that's like number 6 at the moment.
Peter Jackson's actually responsible for my worst cinema experience. I went to see King Kong.
I did not enjoy that either. No, that goes on and it repeats itself.
I
And,
couldn't believe how long that film was.
bloody hell! It's like a bad video game. Hell, there's even a slippy, slidey ice world in it. It's literally like a bad 90s video game.
Yeah, appalling.
No, didn't like it.
We haven't identified a perfect trilogy yet.
No, we've probably missed something obvious here.
I used to maintain that the Toy Story trilogy was a perfect trilogy, and then they made a 4th film, so they ruined it. But the first 3 Toy Story films, in my mind, are flawless.
So the thing about that as well is it even has like an overall arc, pretty much.
That's what I mean. It's perfect. And the 4th one is a great film, but it ruins their title of best trilogy.
That's the thing, is that you have to take the 4th one out. Yeah, I think you're right. If you take the 4th one out, that's your probably best example.
So where can people find your film and your output if they want to watch the film we've been discussing until we got onto Toy Story?
If you would like to see the film, just go to watchpolybiusheist.com. Polybius is spelled Polybius.
Okay. And if you wanted to buy a physical copy of the film, could you do that?
You must wait.
Oh.
Then the physical copies aren't out until at some point next year.
Right.
Unless you back the film, then you'll be getting them very early next year, I think. But that is now closed. Oh. So general public will have to wait until sometime next year. I'm not going to say, just in case it's wrong.
No, because someone in the comments will hold you to it, won't they?
Exactly.
This was coming out in February and it's now April and I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, this is the worst film ever. I shall give it -12 on Letterboxd.